Hello, here's another video craft video for you from Crafty Carol. That's I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in Northern Ireland, and today we're going to make a nice little fun gift card, I suppose is the best way to describe it. And I'm using this lovely DSP. It's called Painted Collage. And it's just got some wonderful sort of patterns in it and lovely autumny type colours as well. So just to let you see a few of them, there's these which I've used in the card today. This one here, you can see the backgrounds of them as well. Let me try and do it at once, then you can see. I rather like that one, that's quite nice with Lost Lagoon in it. More here. This one. I like that. I like the back as well as the front of that one. And another one here. And that final one there. So lovely patterns, really sort of random patterns. It comes with, let me just show you this, the Notes of Collage bundle. So that has these lovely stamps. So you've got this sort of, I don't know what it is, just a sort of randomy sort of swirly thing, a nice asymmetrical circle, some raindrops come patterns, a leaf and two different types of branch, and the dies that go with it cut the branches, but they also have a separate leaf die, this lovely sort of image type die, I don't know quite what to call it, a sort of checkered piece. I'm going to use that. This is an outline which is just a different outline for sentiments, which I rather like, and also the sort of holes if you want to cut these sort of things as holes. So those are the sets that I've used with this. This set was, this was some specialty paper. I'm not actually using that in this project, so I'll just move that out the side. So all sorts of bits you need for this. As always, I've done quite a lot of the preparation beforehand. So let me go through the bits you need. So the first thing is you need a card base. So this is the normal card base, which is 21 by 14.8, scored at 10.5, or if you're working with US cardstock, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4.25. So that is my card base already cut. Then I need one piece for the inside. This is our normal second level layer, which is 9.5 by 13.8 in centimetres, or in inches 3 3/4 by 5 inches, and that's going to go inside. Then the bit on the front is the sort of complicated bit, and that provides the area for the gift card. And this card, it was actually part of the Creativity Now, which is where I got the bundle for. It was done in different colours. I've used Golden Glow and Pecan Pie, as you can see, but you could make this with any nice DSP. And in fact, in my craft along next week, I shall be making it with a completely different stamp set and completely different DSP. But this piece you need, which is the bit for the sort of bit across, this bit is 24 centimetres by 10.5, or 9 inches by 4 inches, and you're going to score it into 3. So for centimetres, you want to score it at 8 and 16 centimetres, and for inches, you want to score it at 3 and 6 inches. And then we're going to fold it, and it folds in and across each other. And what you'll find is you just need to take a sliver off the one that comes in so that it folds in nicely. So I took about literally just the width of the tiny little sliver off, and it just enables it to fold in and fold closed nicely. So that is that piece for the front. Then you also need various bits. I've cut these pieces of DSP. You need 3 pieces of DSP, and I've used this one with the pattern because it sort of frames it rather nicely, but as I say, any DSP will do. And these pieces are 7.5 centimetres by 10 centimetres, and I've just realised I haven't written the inches down for that, but it'll be 2 3/4 inches by 3 3/4 inches, because they fit on there. And then you want one more piece, and I've already actually trimmed mine, but this piece is approximately 6.5 centimetres by 9.5 centimetres, which is, what is it in inches? Let me just find out. It's about 2.5, 2 3/4 inches by 3 3/4 inches, something like that. It just needs to be a centimetre each side wider than the piece of card you're going to use. And this piece is 7.3, it's slightly less than the 7.5 by 10, but you could cut it the same as that. I just wanted to cut it a little bit less so that, because I'm going to wrap this round to form my gift tag pocket. Okay, and then I've done various little bits of die cutting because I'm going to make some patterns to go on top of the card as well. So let me show you how it goes together. I'm going to do some stamping first. Let me just talk about this piece. This piece was originally rectangular, and all I didn't measure the angle, I just cut it at a slight angle. You just want it to be big enough to slide your gift card in, and then you're going to score it at 1 centimetre either side, or half an inch either side. When it folds around, you won't see this bit that sticks out because it's going to fold around behind this piece. So that's how to put that bit together. It's literally, just do it as you wish. It just needs to fold around your centre card piece. So this piece is going in the centre of my fold along card at the top. And I just have a stamp to put in there. And I am going to use Pecan Pie for this. So this is, actually these are from different sets because I wanted this to be a birthday one. And the sets I've just shown you don't have sentiments, so you need a sentiment from somewhere else. So this one is from the Sending Salutations stamp set, to a marvellous person on their birthday. And I will just clean that stamp, because I like to clean stamps immediately when I've used a dark ink, so that we don't get any staining, or get as little staining as we can manage. So that is for that. And then I'm going to stamp a sentiment on the front, but I'm actually going to stamp it. It's going to go in on this colour because it's going to match, going to sit on there. But I'm going to do this with Versamark, so I just need my little anti-static embossing buddy. So I'm just going to clean that off to make sure there's no greasy fingerprints or anything on there. And then we're going to use Versamark, and I've used the Happy Birthday from the Wild Bunch set. Again, you can use any sentiment you want for this. So I'm going to use Happy Birthday, mainly because it also just fits beautifully in this particular die cut, which is nice. And then I am going to use white embossing powder. I thought about using gold, but I want to try and use white, I think, because it'll match the rest of the layout of the card a bit easier. So I'm just going to flick that to get any excess off, and then we will heat set that. I use these beautifully cleaned Chinese containers for my embossing powder, because I'm quite messy and otherwise I get embossing powder everywhere. Okay, so we're just going to do the magic that is embossing. I never ever tire of this, never ever. Just watching it, hope you can see this in the video. Just watching it melt so beautifully. And it is hot, so I'm going to just turn it round so I can do the other end. There we go. Isn't that just lovely? Oh, can't turn it. There we go. Isn't that just lovely? So nice. I do like a nice heat embossed thing. Right. We're going to move on to putting the card together. So really simple way to put the card together. So I've got my card base here, and this is going to sit on the front, but I'm going to use these pieces here as extra, just extra nice bits to go on the front if you like. So I am actually going to trim these because I just didn't want to cut all four. What I didn't do, and probably should have done, is just going to literally cut them roughly in half. So that's one. We'll cut this one much the same. I'll cut this bit off here, same. Just like that. And if I'd been sensible, I would have die cut these with adhesive sheet on the back, but I forgot. So I am going to have to fiddle around with glue, which is fine. I shall probably get messy. Look, see, I did get embossing powder where I didn't want it, even using that Chinese container. Oh, just messy, what can I say? So I'm going to use this, and you can use little tiny, just really tiny. That's a bit too big, that one. If you're very gentle, you can just use little tiny dabs of glue. I'm getting these a little bit big because I'm kind of trying to do it quite fast, but just to cover this, basically put enough on to stick it down. And then this one is going to go on one of the long sides of the card. And I'm placing it so that it doesn't stick out too much over the side. Might just move it over a bit. There we go. The other longer one is going to go on the opposite side. So just very gently, just tapping the glue will just give you little tiny little dabs, which is more than enough to hold these down, especially as it'll have something sitting in front of it. So this is the other one for the other side here. And these two I'm going to put top and bottom. And I'm not putting glue, ooh, I can't pick this one up. Not putting glue on all of these bits because A, I don't need to, and B, I'm just going to test that's about right actually. It probably needs to come a little bit higher. And also because I just want it to, I don't mind if some of these, you can see these are sticking up a bit. Just adds a little bit of depth to the cards. I quite like that. And the final one. And this one's going to go at the bottom. I'm just going to place that so I know roughly where it needs to go. So that enough of it will show outside there. That's, whoops, didn't hold that down for long enough just to stick it. Problem when you're using little tiny dabs is you need to hold it for just that little bit longer to stick it. And you can see it just gives a little bit of extra around the outside. So now I can stick this on. So I want this to stick down well. So just over the back of this 3-sheet piece. Which way do I want it? I'll open it that way. It doesn't really matter, but just the convention. Whoops, I've folded that the wrong way. So there we go. That's why it didn't look very good, but that's no problem because I can very quickly turn it over and make sure I've got enough of my little decorations sticking out all the way. I'm just going to hold that down for a second to make sure it's sticking well. Excellent. So then we can start to put these other bits together. I haven't done the inside of the card, but we will. So the first thing I want to do is stick this around this piece. This is my inside piece for the inside of this front of the card. So I'm just going to put some glue on here. I could use tape actually, might be better, but I'll just use the glue as I've got it out. But I'm also going to just run a little bit of glue along the bottom because I want this to be a pocket. And rather than do a 3D one, I didn't want to add any more depth to my project because it already has a fair bit of depth. And of course, postage now, not brilliant. So that just allows me to have this little pocket that I can then slide a gift card into. So we're just going to stick that in. And that goes in the center here. There. And then we've got these other pieces here. So we're going to have one piece on here. And it doesn't really matter which one of these goes on. You may, with whichever DSP you choose, you may need to decide perhaps differently which one goes where. I don't think I really mind. Could put a fourth one on actually and have one on each of those. I don't know. But, well, I'll stick with these for now. I might put a fourth one on in a bit. We'll see. Yeah, I think I probably will actually. I will do that at the end. You'll see it in the final pictures. Because that just looks a bit... Yeah, I think we need a fourth one on there. That's fine. We will have one. It'll add to the depth, as you can see. But I'm not going to worry too much about that. Now, this is going to be the interest. I'm going to stick it the other way up. I don't know why. I just feel that that should be at the top. There we go. Make sure it's straight. Now, I also cut out a separate piece of one of these, and I'm just going to fold it roughly in half. It doesn't need to be exactly in half. There is no point it being exactly in half because it isn't rectangular, so it really doesn't matter. So I'm actually going to stick this round this piece here. Oh, come on down. Don't tell me my glue's running out. I've had enough of glue running out. So I'm going to stick that around here as a little tab, just like that. Okay, I'm going to stick that on. And what I'm going to do while I think about the rest of those, and probably cut another piece for here and do some stamping on here for the inside of the main card, is I'm actually going to put a little bit of glue just on here. And I'm going to, this is a trick that I saw at Creativity Now and I really loved it. Let's see if I can get my glue to come out. Come on. There we go. I'm just going to put a little line of glue on like that, and I'm going to leave it. I'm just going to leave it to dry, because the beauty of our glue is that when it's dry, it becomes tacky, but it doesn't stick properly. If I close this now, it would stick and that would be no good at all. But if I let that dry, it'll become tacky. And then when I close it, it'll just keep this closed. So a little tip for when you're doing this sort of card. I am going to cut another of those. I said 3, but I think we need 4. Might change that when I, because this is my making it before we run the craft along, so I might just put 4 down there. So I'm going to cut another of these strips, 10 centimetres. And which one should we have? This one, I think, by 7.5. There we go. That one can just go on there. All of that away in a minute. So yeah, I think we need 4 pieces. I'd said 3, but I think we'll probably need 4. Oh dear, my glue is running out. This is no good. I always seem to run through Tombow far quicker than any other glue. Don't know why. Well, I use it so much, I suppose. There, that just gives it adds to my depth on the front here, but you know what? I'd rather have that than I would, yeah, because even when there's a card in there, it's even bigger. So I want this bit for the inside, and I'm actually just going to stamp again my To a Marvellous Person on their birthday. And then I thought about using the stamp to stick on here, but actually I am going to use some of these, because I thought these leaves were lovely. So I want a couple for the front to go with that, but I'm just going to use one here, I think, just to stick in, just because I liked it. And why not? Otherwise, I could have used the leaf stamp, which is the other option. Oh, I've got these out. Here we go. Yeah, I could use this leaf stamp, but it's actually quite big. And I didn't really want anything just, oh, I don't know, should I use that? Do you know what? I might just use it. Let's see. I really like this stamp, and this stamp, I don't want all of it, so I can use that block because I don't want all of the stamp. And I think I'll stamp it in Golden Glow. So I only want sort of this much of it really, so I'll just stamp that up with that. That's okay. So we'll just have a little bit in the corner here. There we go, that'll dry off a little bit. My stamp, my ink is quite wet because it's still quite new. I haven't used it that much yet. Just need to make sure the stamp is covered, so that's why I'm getting more ink on than I probably need. And then I'm going to stamp that on my envelope as well. There we go. Ooh, didn't quite get enough there. I might have to go over that with a marker, but that'll be fine. Okay, just going to clean this. It's got really into the veins, that, but it's okay. My Golden Glow is very juicy, as you can see. It's even got onto the edge there. Anyway, there we go. That will do. Oh, stamp's still not quite clean. That's better. Put that back on here. All right, so that goes on the inside of this card in here, which I could just about do still without touching that bit that's still drying. Yeah, I can get enough glue out. Yeah, there we go. So this is going on the inside of my card here. There we go. So I've repeated the sentiment there, but I don't really think that matters. Can you see how this is drying now? Still not quite dry, but I do need to think about putting my bits on the top here. So I've got 2 of these. I've got 3 of them actually, which is probably too much. Probably only need 2. Keep one for another project. So for these, I'm just going to have these on the front just to add a little bit more interest and depth to the card. So again, I'm just going to use little, if I can get any out, with my running out. Definitely running out. Let's see if there's enough in this one. This is my old one, but I've had it sitting upside down. So with any luck, that will just have, whoa. Yeah, the end bit is always a bit juicy. Even dabbing really lightly, I can get quite big blobs, but never mind. That will be all right. So I think we'll have this one behind. So I'm going to have this just going over that little sort of, there we go. Just let that stick down for a minute. Whoop. I'm very impatient. I don't hold it for long enough. When I'm only putting little dabs on, you need to hold it for a little bit longer to make sure it's sticking. And then we'll have this one as a sort of shadow bit in front. Just lean on that a bit to make sure it is sticking. And I'm not sticking to it, which I am. There we go. And this bit is going to just be, I think I'll cover the stems. I don't want the stems to sit out. And for this, I am going to put them on dimensionals. Probably, actually, there's probably enough thickness in that without any dimensionals. I think perhaps I'll use some tape instead. Let me just use a piece of tape. Better idea, I think, just to keep it flatter. Because there's an awful lot of depth on this card anyway, as you can see. So pop that bit across there. And this bit, hopefully, will have stuck. Yeah, you can sort of feel it's tacky without being sticky. So when I stick that down, I put it on the wrong place, honestly. Because I need it to stick to the, oh, it could stick to there actually. Yeah, it could stick to there. It actually doesn't matter. Yeah, okay, could stick to there. I meant to put it right behind here so it's stuck to the next level, but actually it can stick to the edge of the card, and that's not a bad problem. That's not bad. But you can see it's just tacky, so it lifts straight off. It's not stuck, but it holds. It holds down. It's tacky enough to hold down. So I really like that little clip. So we can put our card in there, our gift card in there, and we've got plenty of room to write as well on there. So I hope you like this little project. I quite liked it when I saw it on the Creativity Now. Thank you to Stamping Up for doing these things. Yeah, I might have to work on that a bit and put it in the right place, but we'll see. But I hope you like it. And yeah, where's my envelope? I did do envelope. There we go. There is my project, and I'll be back soon with another. All of the measurements and the instructions and the video you can actually find are in my blog, which is at craftycarolscards.co.uk. Yeah, definitely need to put some on there. Let me just put some on and let it dry for a minute so I can make it work. There we go. Just want a little bit on there and it'll just hold it close. Yeah, in the blog at craftycarolscards.co.uk, and I hope you can join me again for another video very soon. Thanks for joining me today, and goodbye for now.